Apologies that I look an absolute complete mess today, but I'm having a lazy day and I can't be bothered to do anything really. So anyway, I want to quickly talk about them lot up the road. And before any Geordies say that I'm being obsessed, remember how obsessed a lot of you lot were. Not all of them, obviously, because there were some sensible ones. But how a lot of them lot were up the road were obsessed about Sunderland being in League One and then failing to get out of League One, which I admit is an absolute embarrassment on our part, but a bit of comeuppance for those specific fans. However, for the fans that haven't been pricks, basically, and haven't been anti-Sunderland, I do kind of feel sorry for them, because basically the breaking news at the time of this recording, around lunchtime on the 24th of June, is that Rafa Benitez is set to leave Newcastle United. And I'm going to quickly read the statement for you now that's come out of Newcastle. It is with disappointment that we announce that manager Rafael Benitez will leave Newcastle United upon the expiry of his contract on 30th of June 2019. We have worked so hard to extend Rafa's contract over a significant period of time. However, it has not been and will not be possible to reach an agreement with Rafa and his representatives. That strikes me of Lee Charnley coming out with that, or a mixture of Lee Charnley and Mike Ashley. Right, look, I'm going to try and look at this situation objectively. I'm going to try as much as I can to take out the Sunderland bias. Let's get this straightforward. This is embarrassing that it's been allowed to happen, really. And I remember putting up a video when Rafa was appointed, which I believe was 3 years ago, which was in March of 2016. And obviously since then, Rafa went down with Newcastle, but he brought them back up, winning the Championship. And then we've had 10th and 13th place finishes in the Premier League, which, given the squad that they've had, actually, I think is actually a pretty good achievement for him. I have stated in the past that I do think Newcastle fans tend to praise Rafa a little bit too much, saying that, like, also almost implying that he can't do anything wrong. But in general, if what he's done, if someone like, Alan Pardew did that, he would be branded an absolute villain and wouldn't be even given the time of day. And that's the one thing I will disagree with Newcastle fans on, that I don't think Alan Pardew, with the resources he had, did a bad job over there. Since then, he's been atrocious. Not taking anything away from that. But at there, I disagree. I don't think he did a bad job at all. But with Benitez, it's embarrassing it's been allowed to happen. He's been by far probably the best manager they've had since Bobby Robson. Or he's certainly the best manager they've had for so many years. And, you look at it. If Rafa had had proper backing, there's absolutely no way Newcastle would be battling relegation. And I can sympathise to a point. Obviously when Sunderland were in the Premier League, I felt we were getting held back from what we should be achieving. But the circumstances obviously are different. Doesn't change the principle of the argument, but the circumstances were different. I do think that with Benitez at Newcastle, he's managed to keep what a core of Newcastle's team, and this isn't me putting a dig, by the way, a lot of their fans have said the same thing. Some of their players are just Championship standard, that are just really pushing themselves in the Premier League. They've got some good players. Shaw, Lascelles, Fernandez. They had Rondon, but he's now gone back. Almiron looks good every time I've watched him. Dubravka's good. There's a good number of players there that actually look a very good side. But now, for them, the takeover's got to happen, because, if that does not happen, put it this way, it'll be very interesting to see what happens at St James's Park in the next few weeks. Obviously now they've got to try and look for a managerial appointment, and as much as I kind of half of me wants to laugh at it, I can't, because I've got the impression the takeover will probably go through and they'll get Jose Mourinho or something, who I actually think would do very well at Newcastle if they could get hold of him. But obviously, whether you think that's deluded or not is entirely up to you. I think in a general sense, it is embarrassing for Newcastle that this has been allowed to happen, as I've said before. And the fact that Rafa goes, plus the uncertainty over the takeover, they're going to enter the season on a real downer, I think. They're going to be... something needs to be sorted either way. So look, guys, it was just a brief reaction, as brief as I could, reaction to Rafa going with Newcastle, going away from Newcastle. Mike Ashley, now this is the big thing. The hierarchy at Newcastle need to really get this next appointment right. Obviously, the next manager is going to have a slightly unfair disadvantage, in my opinion. Everyone's going to compare him to Rafa Benitez, which I kind of get, but they need to recognise that every manager is his own person. But that's inevitably going to happen. Anyone that comes into St James's Park now is going to be compared to Benitez. So, no. Any Newcastle fans, I'm just curious here. Let me know what you think down below. Who would you want as next manager? And one last thing I will point out before I close. This Rafa goes, we go thing. As much as a lot of Newcastle fans have taken the mick out of Sunderland when we were in the Championship, and in my opinion, quite rightly, not turning out when we were getting battered at home week in, week out, when we just got relegated and with the players we had. But yet, if it's Rafa goes, we go, some of them claim we were abandoning the team. Could they not be doing the same thing with the Rafa goes, we go? That's me not trying to have a dig. I'm just genuinely curious to see what you think. But on the other hand, I do get that if the Rafa goes, I think Newcastle fans have got to take a stand on this. The best way to get rid of Ashley is to make sure that you put as little money in his back pocket as possible. And yet you could argue maybe that the whole Premier League TV deals that they keep on getting will override what he'll be losing through ticket sales. But they've got to do something at this point. The fact that this has happened is a joke. So, look, anyway, guys, I love yous and leave yous. Again, Newcastle fans, comment below what you think. Who would you want as next manager? What would your thoughts be on the whole Mike Ashley and Lee Charnley situation now on the takeover? And for Sunderland fans, let's just hope we get some signings through, because I am starting to get a bit worried about the lack of transfer news on our end. See you later.